I'm Brandi Robinson. I'm a lot of things, but I guess I'll go with I'm a realtor. I work with real estate investors, and I'm also a mortgage lender. So I'm excited to be here and talk to Keith about what he does and how he makes it happen. So I guess we'll just get right into it. How do you make it happen?
Well, one of the things I'm going to share is some behind the scenes stuff. With anybody that is going to make it happen, it takes practice, it takes developing skills. And clearly, I lack the skills of audio visual. Prior to getting to this, it took me 30 minutes, almost 30 minutes to identify why I could not hear Brandi. It took some trial and error. We had to log out, log back in, trying to figure out, what's going on. But we did not give up.
Exactly.
And that's part of the reasons why we have this series of Make It Happen is, people identify a problem, a situation, and then people find a solution. And so for me, making it happen. And what people don't realize, and I'm going to say this because I haven't said it previously, but if you look at Make It Happen, Keith is in the middle of that. Did you know that?
Actually, yes, I did. And
Oh
I love
yeah, could you? I showed you the logo. Yes, you did. Yes. So Keith is in the middle of Make It Happen. So that's kind of where all this kind of came about, and going from there. But as far as making it happen, what would you like to know or learn about me?
Okay, so with Make It Happen, how long have you been established? Like, can we kind of start there?
I have friends, family that are somewhat intrigued by what I do. And I say that because there are not many like me in this industry. When I say like me, be really straight to the point. Minority men. There are not even many minority women. There may not be that many veterans, and I am a veteran as well, served in the Air Force.
Oh wow.
Um, but it's really just to kind of get the message out. And I say that because there are a lot of people like myself who may be getting into an industry, a career, a position that they may not be familiar with. And I was very unfamiliar with this industry years ago when I got into it. And I've been successful over the years. And one of the things I want to do with part of Make It Happen is, in a way, pay it forward, but also find a way to give back. I want to give back to other entrepreneurs. I want to kind of help be that voice. I kind of want to help be some kind of motivation for them as well. And I look at things as far as self made. And I use the acronym MAID, which for me, and I probably should get this trademark. So if y'all see this out there later, can I get some kind of credit or something?
Right, don't try to steal our
But
ideas.
yeah, but for me, self-made MAID stands for motivation, ambition, inspiration, and determination.
I like
And
it.
those are the things that um, make it happen. And I want to inspire others that may follow my footsteps, your footsteps, and athletes, footsteps, and just try to identify different ways that they can make it happen. And like I, said when I started off, is dealing with this whole audio visual setup. I didn't give up. And a lot of things in life, if you are really passionate about something, you want to go to that next goal, you're not going to give up. And so making it happen means a number of things for me.
I love that. And it's funny you said you weren't going to give up because I was over here. I was just like, I'm just watching. I'm like, is
Yeah.
he is he going to throw in the towel? I'm just like, and you were determined. You were not giving up. You're like, let me do this. Let me try this.
Yeah,
You
I
were
was.
like, it was no tomorrow. So that was definitely a great kickoff. And
Yeah.
um, I
And
love
like if you think about a TV show, Most TV shows or series from back in the day when they had like sitcoms, they would have a pilot or 2 or 3 episodes to see if the station would pick it up. Was it good enough? Did it really meet the market's interest? Were people really tuned in to what's going on? And so right now, these pilot series right now, I'm learning the ins and outs as far as what's going on. Like before, the lighting sucked in here. And so now I have all these lights to kind of bring it all together.
Nice.
And but yeah, but just kind of you got to start somewhere. And so
Absolutely.
you gotta take that first step. And I don't know everything, but I try to stay in my lane. And then if there's a lane that I want to get diverted into, I rely on others like yourself who is in real estate, who is in investing, and I kind of piggyback off of um, successful people like yourself. And so, making it happen doesn't always mean you got to do it by yourself.
Absolutely.
It's just kind of having uh, the right resource available.
Most certainly. And I was actually going to ask you because you were talking about, kind of getting started and, you got to start somewhere. Where did this, you said you didn't know much about the industry. You started a long time ago. How long have you been in the medical device sales field? And like, how did this all kind of come about? Did you just wake up one day when you were like 5 years old and say, this is what I'm going to do? Or like, where did this come from?
So a lot of people, it came from me um, being a surgical tech in the Air Force.
Oh,
And yeah, so see, most people may not be aware of that. Yes, I served in the military, and um, I was a surgical tech assisting surgeons firsthand in the operating room, and went to school. And I I've never heard of a medical device rep until I was in the military and I was in the operating room, and we had a device rep for certain procedures. But when it comes to sales reps, the only reps that I was familiar with was pharmaceutical reps.
right.
You know,
Exactly.
the,
Same here.
yeah, the pharmaceutical reps, they would go in and have a script, and they would take the doctors out on golf courses, extravagant dinners,
Bringing them lunch.
yeah, doing a number of things. And so that's kind of what I was familiar with as far as a rep in the healthcare medical industry. I was introduced to a medical device rep when I was in the military. And from there, I developed a good understanding of the operating room, of surgery. And one of the things that goes along with it is having really good critical thinking skills and also being able to come up with a solution when a problem presents itself. Because you don't want any problems in the operating room because the patient is on the table, they're under anesthesia. So you want to be there. You're part of the care team. You're essential, but not many people know what we do. We are in the operating room. And so, and that's something that I woke up with, at a young age. But when I was pursuing my education, it's something that I wanted to do. And when I got done, I was able to have an opportunity to work with a major medical device company and did that for a number of years. And for me to progress, I realized I had to do it on my own. And so that's why I started my own medical device business. And it's been um, in place for like the past 11 years.
Oh, wow.
And most people, they see where I'm at right now, but they didn't see me the first year, the second
Okay.
year, the third year.
They didn't see
And
that struggle and that grind.
they didn't see that when I went to a bank, and so I went to a bank, and I exhausted a lot of my 401k to get my business started, and I had purchase orders coming in, and with most purchase orders, they would take about 30 days to be paid out. I went to a bank and showed them my purchase orders. And I said, hey, I need to get a loan so I can buy more inventory so I can continue moving forward without any delays or any gaps in my business. Because I wasn't established early on, I unfortunately and I get that loan, and I just continue to grind. I did not let that deter me. But what's interesting is months later, 6 months later, when they saw the deposits that I was making, now all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, Mr. Palmer, how are you doing? Can I get you a loan or anything?" I'm like, "Yo, when I needed you,
Okay.
you
We're-
kind of looked at me, kind of funny, but but that's the way that things are sometimes when you're first starting out. You may not have the resources, but there's that fire in all of us that's going to find a way. And I think everybody is familiar with the term "make it happen," and it's basically no excuses and failure is not an option. So,
Absolutely.
so yeah.
Love that. So, what has been the most difficult part about just running your own successful medical device business over the last 11 years? Because a lot has been going on over the past 11 years. We had a whole pandemic going on. The
Mhm.
housing market is crazy. I know that we're going to talk about that later, jumping into the real estate side of things as well. But a lot has
Mhm.
happened. And like you said, you jumped in, couldn't get the financing and things that you need. Somehow you made it happen. And then it seems like you're in a better position right now, obviously, to get these banks to do what you want them to do. So what has been your biggest challenge, would you say? Employees, or, getting contacts, or what would you say has been your biggest challenge?
One of my biggest challenges, and I didn't really recognize it until a couple months ago, is I was putting a lot of my eggs into one basket, and I was not diversifying my portfolio. I was tunnel vision.
Mm-hmm.
I was, what I knew was this right here, medical devices. I knew about this being an operating room. I knew this right here, can't see it. It's a vertebrae. You got a little bulging disc right
Oh,
there. So that's
wow.
the pain that people receive. And so my challenge was not only that, but these right here. These are the pedicle screws that will go into um, the spine. And I have, how you got a restaurant and they show you the display of the meats that you want.
Yes. Or
So
the
this is
desserts.
this is a display of all the implants that we kind of use sometimes.
Oh, wow.
So they come in different sizes, they come in different colors, um, different things. So I was tunnel vision with that right there. And like I said, I put all my eggs into one basket. So for me, that has been a challenge. But I looked at that because that was my core business. That was putting keep the lights on, food on the table, roof over my head. But when pandemic happens, when other factors play a role, it's like, man, what do you do?
Exactly.
The good thing about me is I try to be proactive versus reactive as much as I can. It's not always perfect, but when putting all your eggs in one basket, something is going to um, fuck things up, to be very blunt.
Exactly.
And there were times where things kind of fuck things up, but you know, I've had the mindset of an entrepreneur, and I've had family, friends, resources that I can reach out to so that I can diversify my portfolio. And a couple of people that I've talked to, who I will talk to, have been a part of that process. You're a part of that process as far as real estate investing. And a friend of mine tried to get me to real estate investing years ago, but I didn't understand it. And so because I didn't understand it, I kind of put it to the side. I wish I would have done that years ago as well. But again, one of my challenges was just putting all my eggs into one basket. And so as an entrepreneur, you need to have different sources of revenue.
Absolutely. Multiple streams. I absolutely agree with you on that. So I know you mentioned a few months ago, and I know that you're into real estate now. So kind of how did that kick off? I know you have some partners, some partnerships. Like you said, I'm one of them. But how did all this kind of happen? What's going on with your I know you got the BLK movement. Tell me more about that.
So that came about with one of my business partners, and the BLK stands for Brandon, Lawrence, and Keith. So the BLK movement.
Love it.
And just Brandon and I were just chit chatting, and we talked about because Brandon he's in IT, but again we were talking about just trying to we were doing what we do very well in our own lane, but we needed to diversify. But we didn't just want to bring anybody on board. And so after some due diligence, talking to others, we were both mutually connected to Lawrence, and that's something that Lawrence does full time. He doesn't have a side hustle or anything else. Real estate investing, flipping is what he does, and so he is helping Brandon and I with the initial projects, and hopefully once we kind of get a couple more under our wings, we can be more involved at Lawrence is. But right now, Lawrence is one of those individuals that's helping us diversify our portfolio. And so that's one of the areas that I'm in right now. And I'm interested in it because, we hear a lot about it on, from others and on TV. And trust me, you cannot flip a house in 30 seconds. You cannot flip it, I'm sorry, in 30 minutes or in an hour like they do on TV. And so sometimes it doesn't always go right. Our first property, luckily we broke even, but it takes months. It takes some behind the scenes, things that have to get done, whether it's talking to the city, contractors, but you know, we make it happen.
Absolutely. I love that. That's awesome. I also know, just kind of speaking about your partners, I know that you are into mentoring and helping others. I see just firsthand, I've seen you hire a photographer to kind of come and help to, help the photographer help get your business rolling. What do you plan on doing in the future as far as being a mentor and kind of showing people, the ropes and whatnot?
I really think, mentoring works both ways. And, going back to the photographer who was taking pictures and videos at a meeting we're all in, was I don't understand social media. So this is my kind of go at it. And so, bringing him into the picture was just really opening up the landscape for me to where I can learn more about social media. He can teach me and I can teach him. What I can teach him is be a little bit more business savvy and do things along those lines. But I would love to find a way to where I can be in a position to where I can mentor more and maybe even not photography, but getting others into this industry.
That would be
When I
amazing.
and when I say others, I'm like I want to see more black folks, more brown folks, more veterans, more women into medical devices.
I
And
love
so
that.
those are the things that I want to do. I actually created a platform which should be launching this month, and it's called ECHO, ECHO, and it stands for Equity and Community Healthcare Outreach.
I'm loving all these
And
acronyms.
I know I have like, oh, yeah. So it's
Yeah,
a
that's
military,
your thing.
it's a military thing. And if you talk to my brother, he'll say the same thing. Man, you got all these acronyms, but
You
trust me,
really do. I
it's
love
a
it.
it's a it's a military thing. And so with this, it's not a mentoring, but it's taking a first step into making um, decision makers in healthcare, whether it's hospitals, providers, physicians, surgery centers, to really be accountable and supply diversity.
Yeah,
A lot of these program institutions say they want to be a part of supply diversity, but there's no accountability.
exactly.
And they meet their quotas on certain situations, like, they may meet their quota in construction, um, office supplies, janitorial services, but I know people like myself that own businesses that can really apply to the supply chain of these hospitals. Construction, those are $1 million spends. And so the facilities meet that quota based off that big construction cost. But no, we're in the operating room too. We can do we can provide the implants. I know a guy that does surgical supplies, the hats, the masks. Um, he does isolation gowns. I know a lady who's leading her industry in outsourced processing of implants and sterile processing. And she is a mentor of mine. She'd had a lot more challenges than I had, and she's very motivating. She's very inspiring as well. And so
Wow.
these are people that I know that are doing things that look like me. And they're the lady that I know, the PhD, who owns a research company. So, they're the companies, they're the product that need to be researched by certain industries, any kind of clinical research. She owns her company. So I want to kind of get the word out like, look, we are out there. We can do more. And, one of my things is I know we just got done with Black History Month, but how about making Black history moving forward? And
Yes,
these are individuals that can be, um, forward thinkers for our community.
I love that. That is awesome.
So yeah,
And
so I hope that answered your trusting question about the mentoring.
it
I
does.
do I do want to get others involved. I just don't know how, but if there's anybody out there that's interested, one of the things I'm planning to do with this platform is using it to really engage the community and let them know, like, hey, if you are not familiar with medical device reps or consulting before, let me kind of help, guide you, along that path.
Certainly.
Work with different manufacturers, different companies to say, hey, let's make sure that they're doing the right things. And I think one of the ways that we can do that is not going in with the same approach, but hey, if your company really want to be and support supply diversity, well, we're going to take that lead. Echo is going to take that lead, and nobody else is doing it. So, and I know this is kind of, I'm going to say this, I don't know how many times during these series, but how to make it happen and
Exactly.
just how to make it happen.
No, I'm with you on that. And I think that you just kind of sharing your story in general and just raising awareness about, what you're doing in your job in general. Because like you said, before I met you, I didn't think anything about medical device sales. Like you said, the only type of medical sales I was
Mm-hmm.
familiar with myself was pharmaceutical. So I think that you just kind of spreading awareness in general is
Mm-hmm.
helping people. And, you looking like them, they're going to want to get more information, look it up, ask questions. I think that what you're doing is actually really good to help the people. I
Yeah,
love that. So
yeah,
I've
I
been
appreciate
meaning,
it.
you're welcome. I've been meaning to ask you. I probably should ask you this a long time ago, but
Okay.
tell me about your day, just in general, like a normal day for you, because I see you are in an office now, but I see you have on
Mm.
scrubs. I know you mentioned that you go into the operating room. So, what does a normal day for you look like just on the job?
So a normal day for me is never the same. And I think that's one of the things I like doing what I do is I'm not a 9 to 5 behind a desk type of person. I give all respect to those who do those kind of things. But the way that my mind wanders, I'm not sure if I'm not sure if me being an Aries, me being from New York, or or something, but I'm always got to be doing something. And I tell people that self-diagnosed ADD and self-diagnosed OCD sometimes. So and so when we're in the operating room, we are, if a surgery starts at 7:30, we have to be there about 30 minutes prior to make sure everything is situated. Because again, if you see these implants, they're very technical. So the surgeons, they know what they're doing, but we are there on behalf of the manufacturer to explain the what goes in with these implants, how everything works. So
Oh, wow.
there's a lot of instruments that go that will go with it. There, I mean, like I said, all these implants have different functions, and so we have to get there to get set up prior to surgery. Make sure we have the right quantity, the right instruments, and make sure that we're able to take care of the patient. So when we're in surgery, surgery can last, anywhere from an hour or less. And I've been in actual surgery that was about 21 hours.
Wow.
Um,
Did they get like a
and
whole new everything or like what was going on with this?
um, this was it was years ago. And I remember the patient was already on the table, and I believe the patient had already had some implants from a prior surgery. So I don't think the team knew about it. So they called me in, and they're just doing a whole process. I think I got there um, about 2 in the afternoon, and I don't think I left until about 11 o'clock the next morning.
Oh
Um,
my goodness.
but they were operating before I even got there. But
Wow.
with this process, we have to get everything in the operating room prior. So we get everything sterilized and just kind of go from there. And so that's kind of what we do. So when we're in the operating room, we are making sure that we're doing our job. Our job is to make sure that when they call my number, hey Keith, we're ready to put the implants in. All right, we're ready to go. Everything is set up because you don't want the surgeon waiting. If they have to wait, then it's longer time for the patient to be under anesthesia. And sometimes those are some of the complications from being under anesthesia for too long, or some kind of infection that they may acquire in the operating room. And so you kind
Wow.
of want to be very, um, you want to manage the implants the best you can to support the surgeon, the team, and their patient. So that's the day for me in the operating room. Luckily, I have, um, a team that kind of does a lot of that for me right now. They go into the operating room and they will um, manage things for me so that I can do more business development outside of the operating room.
Oh,
So
nice.
that's kind of what we're doing right now. So my team will kind of go in, do the technical part of the surgeries, and I'm more involved in developing the business moving
Oh, wow.
forward. So, but even that day, I can be having a podcast to promote, bring awareness to what we do. I can be um, in a meeting. I can be at a house we're thinking about, investing in. So the day really varies, and I kind of like that. So it really keeps me on my toes.
It sounds like it. And it's
Yes,
gonna keep you from having your ADHD kick in or or what have you. Oh,
exactly.
good. Aw,
Yeah,
well, I love to hear that.
yeah.
That all sounds
So,
good. Is there anything else you're dying to share with the people that I haven't asked you?
uh, you know what? Prior to this, and I think so, I used to have, I still have a podcast called the MedVets, and it was more healthcare related. But I used to be reserved to where I didn't talk a whole lot. And so, because I hate the sound of my voice, I guess everybody said that they hate hearing their voice, but
I definitely feel you on that.
and so yeah, and so I'm like, I don't want it to be recorded. So having that podcast kind of helped motivate me to do this, to really be more engaging, have a little more conversations, and really just be more enlightening. Because again, prior to that, I would just be very basic. Sometimes I still think I'm basic, you know.
You are far from
Um,
basic.
so,
With all your
but
surgical equipment all around, you got a
I know,
spine
right?
in your desk. You're far from basic.
So, And
Okay.
so, but yeah, so one of the things I used to be very reserved, but like they say, closed mouths don't get fed.
Come on,
And so,
somebody.
like I said, to kind of make it happen. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So